Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jamila Dora. Thank you for clicking to watch this video. If you are new, welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, hi. So today's video is about the sad story of Saidiya. We all heard the story. I'm sure we all know about the story of Saidiya, a lady that was married away from her family. She lived in another state while her parents lived in another state. Her husband locked her up for 1 year, one whole year, without food, without care, without anything. And it took a whole year for her parents, her mom most especially, to be able to swing into action to save her child. May her soul rest in perfect peace. May Allah grant her Jannat al-Firdaus. May He forgive all her shortcomings. May Allah grant her mother the fortitude to bear her loss, because it is not just even her loss, her father's death, the loss of her father, which is her husband, because it is such a sad story. It is such a very big thing for one woman to be able to handle all alone, all by herself. And this video is just to just shed light and to shed caution on a lot of things that we have really normalized in our society just because of culture. We are finding it hard to actually separate culture and religion, and we are paying too much reverence to culture over religion. And that is because that is what is comfortable for us, that is what is easier for us to practice. But by the time we have to think about what our religions have our religion have instructed us, what Allah has instructed us, what God have told us to do, our roles, our responsibility, our duties, as human beings to one another, father to child, mother to child, child to parents, we will discover that, okay, by the time we create all these narratives about about way of life, using culture, it becomes easier for culture to be fulfilled over religion, and which is a sad story. Our religion is so beautiful, it protects us, but I don't know where we lost it. But whoever that woke up one day and felt like, to instill culture into children or into people more than instill religion into them as way of life, has really done more harm than good. Saidiya's case is not the only case that happens that in the north that is so extreme when it comes to, not even just in the north, all over Nigeria, all over Africa. The girl child, the female, the woman, the mother, the wife, so long as you are the female gender, of the female gender, there's just this thing that has been done to us that I don't know, only God will save us. If you're someone that knows me very well, I always speak up and I always talk about life in marriage. As much as it is worship, it is not slavery. I don't think Allah wants us to suffer. I don't think Allah wants us to bring harm upon ourselves. And we all, when you're getting married as a young child or a young girl from the north, when your parents are sending you forth, to your husband's house, they send you forth in such a way that it's like they don't want you anymore. That is the simplest way I can put it. And that is what it actually feels like, It's like they're telling you that, and I don't blame them, because when you think about our parents, the way they were raised is the mistake is that they are raising us the way they were raised. And that is why, back in the day, you see you women, when the young girls, when they get married, all the knowledge, education, whatever it is that they end up having in their lifetime, they get it from their husband's house, because at the end of the day, they get married very, very early. Compared to us now, that in our times, we get educated even before we get married, and there is this exposure to knowing oneself that we get, that the moment we walk into marriage or we are in marriage, we do not want to tolerate, or we cannot tolerate the things that our mothers went through. And when you also hear all the narrative lately where people will be like, oh, marriage these days don't last because people are refusing to take this nonsense that was dished to our mothers, to our parents anymore. You cannot be married to a woman and you subject her to such evil treatment. We see men who beat their wives. We see men who just do the most inhumane thing to their wives, and all in the name of marriage. They send you to marriage and into marriage, and they tell you that he's almost like your God now. He's what he says is order, what he says is final, what he does unto you is final, what he says, what he permits you to do and not to do is final. If he wants you to get educated, he can choose to tell you not to further your education. He can choose to tell you not to go out. He can even deny you access to visiting your parents, if he so wish. And I like it that Sheikh Asim came out to be like debunk things like that. And even a lot of muftis are coming out today to say that, look, you cannot keep a child away from her parents. It is not that deep. Your rights are not that deep. Your rights are there, but it is not that deep. The only reason why you would prevent a child from going to see her parents is maybe if where her parents live is so unsafe that you fear for her not to go there by herself, and you want to accompany her. Even in Saudi Arabia today, like even Umrah today, you can now go perform Umrah without a Muharram. It used to be that you cannot go perform Umrah without a male figure, a Muharram of yours, but now that has been lifted. I am someone that lives thousands and miles away from my parents, and every day, besides the fear of the unknown that I live in, I went to school abroad. So I already started life in a way that I was gradually detaching from my parents. But it wasn't a permanent thing, because I knew that every holiday I get to go back home. I was not permanently living in that country. I had no desire to permanently live in that country. But when marriage happened, I remember vividly that when I found out that, I was going to come and stay in the States, it gave me a very hard time. It was a very, very hard thing for me to accept. And I had to make sure that the mister and I came to an agreement, even with the involvement of my parents, that there is hardly a year that I don't get to go see my parents. I don't care if they come see me. I will go to them. My family, my parents, the people that I know are my first point of love, are my first point of safety, are my first point of sense of belonging. Marriage will never, ever make me throw that away. I will never feel like because I am married, my parents, my family no longer mean so much. They mean more to me more than ever. And I want parents to see it as that just because you have given your daughter or your child out in marriage, it does not make them less of your children. It does not make them, you're sending them to somebody that they've probably just known to love themselves for 1 week, 1 month, 1 year. A man cannot feel the amount of love a parent will feel on their child, even siblings. It can never compare. So that sense of belonging, protection, safety, love that parents are so quick to forget about, or just assume that their child does no longer needs that amount of care and attention anymore, is the reason why children, daughters most especially, are suffering in marriage today. No matter how good a mother-in-law is to your child, that love will never be the same as a mother to a child. No matter how good and loving your child's husband is, that love will never equate and be up to the love of a father, the protection of a father. If it were to be so, men will not take other wives. Men will not maltreat their wives. Men will not just subject their wives to all the ills and the hardship that they subject their wives to. This Saidia's story is not an isolated story. Saidia's story is just the extreme of it all. That I'm sure you all have seen her pictures. How do you keep a child, somebody's child, keep your wife, for 1 whole year without food, without protection, without shelter, without anything, like imprisoned her for 1 whole year? And at the end of the day, by the time her mom was able to rescue her father, who was already battling, an ailment, died. And Saidia died 1 week after her father died. So the mother is left to mourning very important people in her life all at once. Another woman to bear it all. And this is really heartbreaking. I just wish the society will stop failing women, daughters, young girls as they do. We are an amana. I keep saying it. Even our parents that have their parents still alive, there is still a duty from their parents onto them. And just as we are still, under them, and they have a duty to us. And I wish parents will stop ignoring the fact that marriage is not a do or die affair. Even divorce is an option. Do not send your child home and say that is it. Yes, nobody wants to go into marriage and come out tomorrow. But if your child is suffering, if your child is hungry, if your child is not protected, if she is not loved enough, please take your child back. It is better you take your child alive than to take a dead body that you have to bury. I feel it is I know that it is way better for you to have a child that is living. You know what you went through to get pregnant for this child. You know what you went through pregnancy. You know what you went through delivery. You know what you went through raising that child and making that child, nurturing that child with the help of Allah into a proper human being that becomes admirable for someone to love and want to marry. But you never failed this child. But if somebody is failing your child, stand up and protect that child, because Allah is going to ask you questions. God is going to ask each and every one of us questions. Why? In short, even questions how we treat each other as individuals, as a community, as my neighbor. The Prophet ﷺ in one of his hadiths said, love your neighbor as do you love yourself, or as you love yourself, or love unto your brother what you love for yourself. So why has it become so easy our parents avoiding responsibilities? I want to understand why it is so easy. Some children will go home, they will complain, the parents will tell them, Koma, I check about the hakuri. To what extent? I want to know the gauge of the patience. Like, how do you gauge patience? When do you not advise patience and actually take actions? I want to also know what is the level of pain, maltreatment, ill treatment that an individual or a child should experience in marriage before you feel like, okay, this is the time to protect that child. You, as the person that gave birth to your child, you probably have never stabbed your child. You probably have never hit your child. You probably have never, maltreated your child. But because it looks good on you, when your child is married, you feel like, okay, it is part of your success story that your child remains in marriage, whether she's suffering or not. So you don't want to do anything about it, and you just feel like, oh, the one that even kind of annoys me more is when the child gets blamed at the end of the day. Rashin haƙurinki ne, rashin wane ne, ƙawaye ne, rashin menene. You know the tarbiyya that you have given your child. You should be confident of the tarbiyya that you have given your child. Why do you think your child is going to just go out there and mess it all up? So I honestly, this is really a sad story. There's also the story of the girl that I think she was married from either Cameroon or Niger, or one of these other countries, that share borders with Nigeria. And she was brought to Nigeria, and I think the husband killed her. No, astaghfirullah. I think she died, and nobody knows how she died right now. I don't think to date it's been established how she died. But coincidentally, someone had lost a family member, and they went to the burial ground to go bury their loved one. And where they buried this person, one of the family members kind of turned, when God is directing you, kind of turned, and she saw the thumbstone of someone with a very unique familiar name. I think she was Cameroonian. So very unique familiar name, and date of birth, and she was like, this person is dead. So she quickly made a call to someone that had introduced her to this person. I was like, so this person is dead. Let's assume the name Fatima or Nana or something, Oh, Nana is dead. And he was like, no, Nana is not dead. Why would you say that? She now said, okay, let me send something to you, because I'm at the burial ground and I'm seeing a tombstone that has her name, that has her date of birth, has everything. And she took pictures and she sent to this person. This person that found her was a travel agent. She's a travel agent, and she had processed visa for this late person. And that was where the man now took phone, called family member, called people around, and they now said they finally reached her family. Her family don't live in Nigeria. They probably have also never been to Nigeria, and they said they have been calling her for 9 months. This happened in they've been calling her for 9 months. That is from January to September. This news broke the internet in September. For 9 months, and her phone was always ringing, but no response. For 9 months, no response. And the man have been charging her phone. And I guess when he was approached to ask him what happened, why did he not inform the family, and he came up with the flimsy excuse that he forgot. Like, please, if you're giving out me, I am learning a lot of lessons. From these things. And when it comes to my own time to give children out in marriage, I know what I'm going to take and I know what I'm not going to take. And one of it is probably going to be that my children will not marry outside of where I am. They will stay in the same environment where I can stand up, enter car and go see my children. That is what I am praying for, that Allah should direct their lives in such a way that He does not put me far away from them, too far away that I cannot reach them, touch them, feel them at will as I want. This is a sincere prayer, and if you're a parent of this generation, please make prayers like that Allah should please reunite, put the units of your family, put them together in a way that they are not too far away from you. And if you have children that are married abroad, if you're a parent that you're watching this, if you have siblings like myself that are married far away from your family home, share this with your parents. Share the idea of putting it in their mind to always check up on their children, visit them, demand for them to be seen. They still have rights over. It is that right that I feel like parents feel like they no longer have rights on their children, over their children. You still have rights over your children, because your children are also expected to take care of you in old age. Whether they are married or not, they are expected to take care of you. So they have rights over you, you have rights over them. So please reach out to your children, however far they are. Reach out to your children. Even if there is no phone, write letter. That is the worst case scenario of all this. Please say a prayer for Saidia and her dad, and say a prayer for her mom. If there is any way you can reach out to her mom, to support her, provide her whatever kind of emotional, financial support that can be done for her, please do so. And if there is anybody that also has a contact and how she can be either reached or contacted or anything, just send me a DM. May Allah grant her ease in this world and hereafter. May Allah expand Saidia's dad's grave, light it up with His nur, and forgive their shortcomings and make the life after here easy for them, inshallah, and for all of us too. May Allah continue to ease our affairs. May He continue to put us around people that genuinely love, care, and will protect us, and human enough to be kind and to genuinely care for us. Thank you all so much for watching. Please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and see you in my next video. Bye and stay blessed. 2 a.m. got me feeling myself all alone, but I'm loving myself.